Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone. I have a new NBA DFS video for you guys today, but before I get started, like always, man, I appreciate you guys drop a like. If you're new to the channel, it's your first time here, you've never seen any of my videos before, I cover the NBA in its entirety for the entire season. At the moment, I'm doing 6 days a week videos, Monday through Saturday. Sunday, because of the NFL, when the NFL concludes at the end of the NFL season, I will be doing the full 7 days worth of NBA videos all the way through the playoffs, and I covered the NBA in its entirety all last year as well. So if you're looking for some added information, some information that can possibly help you be able to make decisions on your lineups every single day for the NBA, I highly recommend you become a part of the community. The only thing you need to do to be a part of it is to become a subscriber down below, which is very easy and it's free. So, I mean, free information, you can never go wrong. So, again, subscribe down below. Do not forget also to put on your post notifications. This way, that bell icon, turn that on so this way you don't miss out on any of my new uploads. And I also do some streams as well, which I'll be doing shortly. So streaming as well as regular NBA videos. So a lot to cover for you guys and to help you guys out as best as possible every single day. All right. With that being said, it's Monday. It's November the 11th, 2019. It is also Veterans Day. So I thank all those veterans out there for everything they have done for our country. And let's try to get right into what's going on. First things first, I want to be able to do the announcement on the weekly drawing. I do a weekly drawing here for those who are new. For a player pool, I prefer to do the player pools because lineups are never guaranteed, and I don't want anybody to think that you're going to get a guaranteed lineup that's going to help you win, because the players have to play. The NBA players have to play. The coaches have to coach, and sometimes we get players that don't have good games, and sometimes we have coaches that don't make good decisions. So it's definitely pretty difficult. Plus, I also am a GPP player, and I basically play a lot of multiple lineups. So sometimes the core that I give you here are guys that I'm looking at as well as the others that I speak about. So always keep that in mind. But the player pool. So again, this week's winner for the player pool is going to be Rondell Junker. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Rondell. I appreciate you, man. You've been commenting quite a bit. I try to take into account all the people that have signed up as of late, as well as those that are pretty much involved in the community as far as the comment section down below. And the only thing you need to do to be a part of that and get that weekly drawing, and again, this is free information. You get the 15, 20 picks. It can vary depending on the slate. It can make or break you. It can make some decisions, make it a little easier for you to just pick out some players and build some lineups around those players, which I do a lot of research beforehand to narrow those players down. But again, nothing's guaranteed, but I think a player pool is always very nice to help you guys out. Okay. So Rondell Junker, you can reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter. Either one of the two is fine. I prefer Instagram simply because I'm able to do an audio message, which is pretty cool. I'd be able to just basically tell you all the players that I'm looking at. And if there's any changes, I obviously will hit you up on Twitter or on Instagram prior to lock. And that information goes out to that particular individual for this week. In this case, Rondell, you'll be getting it about an hour before lock or maybe a half hour before lock. Okay, so I always wait till the very end and make those decisions on the guys that I've been looking at all day after some further research. So congratulations on that, and I appreciate you, man, for being a part of the community here. All right. Other than that, let's get right to it. So if you want to be a part of that, folks, the only thing you need to do is obviously drop a like on the video. Make sure you comment down below. Get involved in the community as far as discussing the slate. Anything you want to discuss, and on top of that, you just got to be a subscriber to the channel. I'll be able to check that out by looking into my information there, and that's basically it. So again, if you want to have a chance at that giveaway, just be a part of the community down below. All right. Okay, so let's get to it. Yesterday, I didn't play a whole lot of NBA because I really focused on NFL. So let's get right to today's slate. We have a 6-gamer here in the association today. And we're going to start at the top at point guard. There are some areas where you're going to be looking for some value. I'm going to start announcing some of the values a little later in the video, but at the beginning I'm going to go over the players that I normally like. So at the top you got Luka Doncic at 10,007. You need about 53 to meet value there, and he's averaging 53. So he's priced about right. Tough matchup always against Boston, but he is going against Kemba Walker, who's not a great defender. But then again, you still got Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. So one of those two is more than likely going to be on Luka more so than Kimba. But I'm going to come down. I've been, this has been a couple of times this year, 2 times. This is 3rd time's a charm for me, hopefully, with Russell Westbrook. He's let me down the 2 times that I have put him on here as a core 5. I really do like his matchup a lot today. He has already played against New Orleans. He already put up a huge number. At 9,900, he is fairly cheap at this price tag. For me, at 9,900, you need pretty much 49 to me value, pretty much a 50 spot. He's been able to get, we know he's capable of getting you 50 or better. There's no doubt about that. He's averaging 47 fantasy points here on Fanduel. On DK, he's only 8,800, so he's definitely someone you can consider there. I will tell you at the end some of the guys that I'm looking at DK. I don't play a whole lot on DK. I've been pretty much a Fanduel player, and I just started playing on Yahoo just a couple of days ago, so maybe with time I'll discuss some Yahoo plays as well. But 21 points and nearly 10 rebounds, 8 assists. I mean, we know he's a double-double, triple-double any given night, and he's averaging 46, 47 here. That 8,800 price tag on DK, you only need 44 to me value there, and he's averaging 49, so he's definitely priced under what he is producing thus far on DK. So he's definitely a fine play on DK in a favorable matchup. The highest implied total game of the night, I think it's like 244, 245. This is a huge scoring night. You got to have, like I've told you guys before, always have exposure to those high implied total games, especially if they're also fairly close. So this game is going to be a really paced up game. He has played 31 and 30 minutes, 30 to 31 minutes over the last 2. Granted, he has been in a downward trend, as you can see here. He even put 26 up against the Bulls, but not a whole lot of anything else, and he only put up 33 fantasy points. And the only thing that kills you, he could have had a 40 spot here. He had 7 big turnovers, and that's usually the problem with Russell as well as Harden. They turn over the ball a lot, but granted, they get so much usage, so much time on the court, so much ball handling, that they get the hands on the ball so many times throughout the game that you have to always consider them. So again, at this price tag, I think this is a good smash situation. Again, nothing's guaranteed. He's going up against the Pelicans. You can see down here, he played 33 minutes in the second game of the season against the Pelicans, and he put up a triple-double. Now, granted, can he do that again? Yes, absolutely he can. We know he's capable of it. Will he do it again? We don't know. There's no guarantee, but the matchup is favorable for him to do so. All right, he's averaging 21, 9, and 8. He can get you 50. His last 3 games, as I said, he's been trending downward. His fantasy point totals up and down, but again, I think this is the time for him to step it up. He has 60-point upside. He's shooting 46% from the floor. He has taken some threes. We know he's not a big three-point shooter. He's only averaging 23%. We're not basing him on that. We're basing him on his usage, the amount of time he's on the floor as far as minutes are concerned, and what he does as far as getting to the basket and getting his shots off. So he gets quite a bit. His usage rate is at 28% right now, and when Harden is off the court and he's pretty much the primary offensive weapon for the Houston Rockets, it bumps up 6% to 34%. That is huge when I look at numbers like that. That is big, a 6% bump. He's taking 16, 17 shots a game on average and 4 or 5 threes, which, 4 or 5 more shots when Harden is off the floor. So he averages more like 20 when that happens. And there's a couple of times during the course of the game, guys like Russell Westbrook will be the primary weapon for the Houston Rockets. So I like the matchup. He already played this team. He put up 58. This team has allowed 43.7, one of the biggest numbers against point guards in the league this year. I think it's the second or the highest at 43.7 fantasy points per game. And again, 5 opponents, 5 big top-tier point guards have put up huge numbers against the Pelicans. 61 by Irving, 54 by Curry, 58 by yours truly, Russell Westbrook, 55 by Doncic, and Van Vliet put up 54 on them as well. So again, and all these are high-usage, integral part offensive weapons for their teams. So I like Russell Westbrook here. I'm willing to pay up for him in this spot. Other than that, as you can see, Lonzo Ball is out, so obviously there's going to be some opportunity there with the Pelicans. Obviously, Holiday gets a big bump. So it's the same. Brandon Ingram gets the biggest bump, about almost 30-somewhat% when Ball is off the court. But Holiday will get a bump there. He's going to probably move back into the point guard spot again tonight, and then that opens up the doors for Kenrich Williams, and Frank Jackson will get a few more minutes. So there is some value there, especially Kenrich Williams, which I mentioned the last time, and he actually had a fairly good game. So I expect no different there today as well. This is going to be important here to watch Jeff Teague and Derrick Rose. I think Derrick Rose is still not quite there. Teague he went with the team to Detroit. He took the flight, so if he's feeling better, I think he'll end up being a very nice play here, 6,200. This is another game that's going to be pretty intriguing to watch today too. Minnesota and Detroit at Detroit. Minnesota will have the upper hand as far as backcourt. I always tell you guys, even last year, the strength of Detroit is always going to be their defense when they come together, but their front court is the key, and that's Drummond and Blake Griffin. With Blake Griffin back, it definitely helps them out in the front, but in the backcourt, they really struggle. And I think Jeff Teague and Andrew Wiggins will have an opportunity to put up some nice numbers there today. Other than that, Shabazz Napier, another thing also there. If he's back as well, it definitely helps Minnesota in their backcourt. Not so much there when Jeff Teague is playing. I would think that he's someone you would consider in the back burner. Go over the shooting guard. A shooting guard at the top, James Harden. Like I always tell you guys before, if you're not on Russell, you're on James. If one or the other, if you're playing them both, and you could do that, today would not be a bad day to have a team stack with Russell and Harden. You could also do this. The same could be said for New Orleans with Brandon Ingram and Holiday. I mean, that's a good team stack today. So today, in that matchup, you can go with those four guys. If you can get them in, they are highly priced, and you're going to have to find a lot of value. But again, you can go one or the other, or you can actually do that today and sprinkle in some other guys around them. So James Harden is someone in play. He didn't have a huge game against New Orleans the first time around. If I look back, I think it was 37 or 38 fantasy points. Didn't shoot particularly well, but he's going to get his usage, his minutes, and his shots. And that's something I preach here all the time. You're looking for those kind of players because we're looking for fantasy points. And if they're not taking enough shots and you're not on the floor as often, you're not touching the ball a whole lot, you're not going to get a lot of fantasy points, or you're not going to have the opportunity to. So that's important. D'Angelo Russell, tough matchup against Utah. Holiday, like I said, he's definitely in play. I think you definitely got to consider him. I'm going to come down. I think Holiday is someone that I'm going to have exposure to. I'm letting you know that here because I play multiple lineups. I do like him. I think I'm going to sprinkle in Harden in some of my lineups, and Wiggins as well. I think they're all in nice matchups. But I'm going to come down here to Fred VanVleet. He's obviously in a position now, no Kyle Lowry. His usage rate is going to bump up. He's already taking huge shots already. He was already taking more than enough shots before for his price tag. He's still priced relatively good here. His price tag is the same on DK. 6,900 is a little high. Looking at Yahoo, I kind of like his price on Yahoo now that I mentioned that I started playing a little Yahoo starting Friday. So Fred VanVleet at 6,900 here, you need 34. And on DK, he's 6,900 as well. 34 you need there as well. He's averaging 35, so he's priced about right. But because of now no Lowry on the court, him and guys like Powell are going to be getting tons of amount of time on the floor. He's going to be the primary offensive backcourt guy. Obviously, Powell will probably be the second, with the front court being Siakam. But without no Ibaka there, still Siakam. All these guys get a huge bump with Lowry off the court, and it starts with Fred VanVleet. So again, 16 points, 4 rebounds, pretty much almost 8 assists a game. 6,900, you need 34, like I said, 36, same price on DK. He's been trending upward, no doubt about it. Look at the minutes, 35 plus over the last 3. Right here, he had a double-double. He had a double-double, 2 double-doubles in a row. And he actually put up 23 floor points against the Lakers, put up a 49 spot. It was his second best game fantasy-wise thus far this year. But it comes to show you that he does have 50-point upside. And right now, as of late, I mean, you're looking at maybe a 32 to 33 downside for him as far as the floor is concerned. Not taking away these games here where he didn't shoot particularly well. But now, because of the huge bump in minutes and in usage, I really do like his whole where he stands right now. He's shooting only 36% from the floor, but in the last 2 games is up to 40%. So he's going to, obviously, some shots are going to go down. If he continues to shoot well and the shots go up, a field goal percentage will go up as well, and that will translate into more fantasy points. He is shooting very well from 3 all year long, shooting 40% from 3, and over the course of the last 2 or 3 games, he's still shooting at a 40% clip, which is great. He's taking about 16, 17 shots per game, and he's taking 9 to 10 threes. That's up from 6 or 7 threes, and the 16, 17 shots is up from the 12 to 11, 12 shots he was taking prior to Lowry being out. So he's already getting his bump. And like I said, when he's on the floor with Lowry, he's at 19%. So he is a guy that definitely gets his touches and gets his opportunities. But with no Lowry on the floor, he gets bumped up in a complete 6% more. And now he's up to about 25, as much as 26% with no Kyle Lowry in the backcourt and him being the primary ball handler for the Toronto Raptors. So again, because of that, that's one of the reasons why you got to have him in a player pool or have some sort of exposure or interest in Fred VanVleet. He's going up against the Clippers. The Clippers have allowed 32.6 fantasy points per game to opposing shooting guards. They recently gave up 33 to McCollum. They gave up 53 big ones to Donovan Mitchell, 45 to Booker, 45 to actually Danny Green earlier in the year. I think he's in a great matchup. I think he's in a good position here for what he's going to need to do here as a leader in the backcourt for this Toronto team. So other than that, I mean, Jaylen Brown obviously is in a good spot here as well. Gordon Hayward went down, so Brown will get a little bit of a bump, but I think that will go more towards Tatum in the front court as well as Kimba taking a little bit more shots in the backcourt. But I think Jaylen Brown will probably be the third option there, so you can't consider him. Other than that, J.J. Redick did play and start for New Orleans in the last game, so he is someone to consider 4,500. And when he gets hot from threes, he could be very dangerous. The guy that definitely you got to look out for, should be in your player pool, have some exposure to, is Norman Powell. Obviously, like I mentioned, Van Fleet and him are going to get huge bumps with Lowry out. Other than that, Langston Galloway's been getting some minutes as well. If that continues, no Derrick Rose, you can't consider Galloway. I've thrown him in there in one or two lineups over the last few games, and he's done fairly well. Gets about 20, 21 minutes a game and can get you 1 point per minute when he's on the floor. Treveon Graham was playing, but I think Jeff Teague is back. And I think that's it as far as shooting guard. Small forward. A small forward at the top, you got Kawhi. I love Kawhi. He's in a great matchup. We'll have some exposure to Kawhi, but I'm not going to select him here. I'm letting you know that I will have exposure to him. I think it's a good matchup for him as well. Paul George is not quite ready to come back. I think he's going to come back any time now. So if you are going to take advantage of Kawhi Leonard's usage, minutes, and shots, this may be probably the last game you can do that. And, of course, he's going up against Siakam in that front court that is pretty much in bad shape. I mean, Gasol is the only really healthy guy other than Siakam and OG. So one of those guys, either it's Pascal or OG Anunoby, will be defending Kawhi Leonard here today. But you could go either one of these two guys. I think Pascal is someone you definitely got to consider. I will have exposure to him. I am going to come down to Brandon Ingram. I just like the matchup a whole lot. Just want to have exposure to that Houston-New Orleans game. So I like right now Westbrook and Ingram the most. Again, I do plan to have exposure to put Holiday in the lineup with Harden, and then maybe if I could get one of those two in with this lineup as well, I would probably consider it as well. But I think those guys you got to definitely have exposure to. So Brandon Ingram in play for me at 8,800. He is 7,800 on DK. You only need 38 there. Over here you need 44 to me value. Numbers have been great. He's been pretty solid all year long. He's been on a little bit of a down trend the last two games, but still the minutes are there, 31 minutes or better. And as you can see, he's still putting up huge floor points. It's just the peripherals are not quite there. Need him to get more assists, get some more defensive peripherals. If he can do that, he could be very dangerous. The beauty of it is that he is playing against a team that you already had success with. Yes, you can see here he played Houston earlier this year. He put up 57. Granted, that does not mean he's going to put up another 50 spot, but he definitely has the potential to do that. There's no doubt about it. He is the main offensive weapon for the Pelicans all year long, even with Holiday. I did mention this in the last video that Holiday is like the second choice on this team now because there's so many guys that can handle the ball, including Ball and including Josh Hart that they got all from the Lakers. So 25 and 9 and 4 in the last game, 37 and 39. Granted, he has 50-point upside, and that's what we're looking at here. He's coming in averaging 26 points, 7 rebounds, nearly 4 assists, and he's shooting 53% from the floor, which is still very, very good for him at this point in time of the year. And 47% from three. He can get you some peripherals. I guess you can see he had 4 steals over the last 3 games. If he can get the steals, get an occasional block, he'll add up some more additional fantasy point totals for us. The key also is the turnovers. Right here, he lost 7 in this game, so technically he should have had about a 43-44 spot in this game, which would have looked a lot better as opposed to this 37. So again, if he just doesn't turn over the ball as much, we will get better numbers from Brandon Ingram. But again, I do like the matchup. But as like I said, he did put up a 58 pretty much spot against this team earlier this year. His usage rate is at 28.5% for the season. With no ball on the court, it bumps up to about 31.5%. Okay, Holiday will get a bump as well. He'll get up to about 21%, and Alexander Walker is another individual that comes off the bench and definitely gets a bump as well with ball off the court at nearly 26%. He's taking 19 to 20 shots from the floor a game and taking 6 or 7 threes. I expect that to stay the same or even better moving forward until ball comes back. He's going up against Houston. Houston is giving up 36.6 fantasy points per game to opposing small forwards. They did give up 58 to yours truly, Brandon Ingram, early in the year. They also gave up 48 to Prince and 65 to Giannis. So again, I like the matchup. High-paced game, highest in the night, should be competitive, should be close. And then this should be definitely a heck of a game. I expect Brandon Ingram to be able to put up at least value and possibly even smash. As you can see, at the small forward is really, really tough after Kawhi and Pascal Siakam and Brandon Ingram. I see Gordon Hayward with the hand. Poor guy, man. He was coming off playing so well. All of a sudden now he's injured again. He's going to be out for a while. There's going to be obviously a bump, here for the power forward spot to Jason Tatum. Like I said, the other guy who's going to get a huge bump is going to be obviously Kemba Walker. Is going to have to take more shots, and you got to also consider Jaylen Brown there as well. Other guys that I may consider here, other than the three at the top, because I will have exposure to Leonard and Siakam as well as Ingram. Alec Burks is someone you got to consider at 5,600. Daniel House gets more than enough minutes. Right here in this 5,300 range, I think probably like Burks the best there. And then you got to always consider Markieff Morris there. But with Blake Griffin back, depending on how many minutes, I would think he's on a minutes restriction. I don't think Blake Griffin's going to play like 30 minutes or 35 minutes his first game out. But Markieff will probably be someone you can consider. I'm not going to go. I think Eric Gordon's probably even a better bet at 4,200 looking at it here. And then you got Josh Okogie. You could consider Okogie there at 4,000. He may be someone. I do like Kenrich Williams, which I mentioned before earlier about Holiday situation and Ingram now. He's going to get some usage as well. We'll pull him. I know he started in the last game. More than likely could possibly start again in the power forward spot for the New Orleans Pelicans, or they may move Ingram to power forward, one or the other, but they did win a little small, and Kenrich did play, and I did mention that in my previous video that I had interest in him, and he put up good numbers, and he's still only 3,900, so he's definitely a nice value play there. Culver played a little bit while Jeff Teague is out, but I do believe Jeff Teague is going to be back today. Other than that, I don't see any other value there. Power forward, go to power forward at the top, man. Blake Griffin is back, but I'm not in favor of playing Blake Griffin. Now, granted, Blake Griffin is going to hurt Drummond a little bit because he is one of the guys that definitely gets the front court rebounds for Detroit. I don't know how many minutes he's going to play. I really do believe he's only going to play 25 minutes or less to start off. So he's not somebody that I'm going to be on. I don't recommend anybody be on him either. But then again, you never know. He's going to be not someone who's going to be popular, that's for sure, in the power forward spot. Kristaps Porzingis, definitely have an interest in Porzingis here with Boston having their injuries. Obviously, with Gordon out, definitely is going to hurt Tatum as far as dealing with defending Kristaps. But 8,300, I will have some exposure. I like the fact that they're going up against Boston, who struggle against power forwards, 29th in the league. I know they're giving up quite a bit of fantasy points, not a huge number, but I think close to 30, 31 fantasy points per game when I last checked. Jason Tatum is definitely an option. Obviously, I would probably prefer going with Kemba or even Jaylen Brown just to pay down a little. Jaylen Brown just to pay down a little bit more, or maybe even going up to Cantor, who's going to play today at center. At least for me. But Jason Tatum could be someone. He's putting up 40, 44 on average as of late. His fantasy point totals have been going up. LaMarcus Aldridge is in play as well against Memphis. His price tag is about right for what he's putting in. He's actually a little overpriced at the moment, but we know he is definitely an 8K plus player. This could be a nice matchup for him. I will have to look in a little bit further on LaMarcus, but when I first looked at it, I wasn't too thrilled about the matchup. Over here, Draymond Green may be back, so he might be an option. The only thing is he going to be on a minutes restriction? We don't know. So it's tough to gauge these two guys here on this injury. So that'll be a game time decision. Definitely keep on top of that. Jaren Jackson, I don't take risk with Jaren Jackson because he gets into foul trouble. I would probably prefer playing Brandon Clark here if I were you guys than playing Jaren Jackson. He's $700 cheaper, and he's actually averaging more fantasy points per game, so he's a better 1 point per minute player at the moment so far from what I see here. And for this price tag, you need 27. That's about right. But this price tag, he is a little bit, at this price tag, 6,200, you need 31, and he's averaging only 22.5. That is not too appealing for me. He does have 40-point upside. Same for Brandon Clark, though. So I would probably go Clark there. I'm a little torn here between Clark, PJ Tucker, and Derek Favors. I think all three of these guys are going to mix and match them in some of my lineups, as far as like squeezing them in here with the power forwards and with Ingram. I think that I'll probably have a lineup where I have some Clark. I think I'll have some with PJ and some with Derek Favors. For the sake of the video, I do like PJ Tucker at 5,400 in the pace-up game. We'll have a little exposure there, some more to that game. He's going to play 30 minutes or better. We know that. At 5,400, you always like somebody that's going to play more than enough minutes. The only thing is that he has those moments where he can definitely do well, like get you 40. And we know he can get you in the 30s. And I think that's what I'm looking at more so is that I think in this matchup he can get you 30 for the amount of minutes he plays. They are going up against a team that, is vulnerable for three-point shooting. I think when I looked, they were like fourth. Actually, yes, they're fourth in the league. Granted, Houston is the worst defending three-point defense against three-point shooting teams in the league, giving up 40%. But the Pelicans are fourth in the league at 37%. So I do like that for PJ here as well, being a big three-point shooter. But he's coming in almost 11 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. At 5,400 for PJ, you need 27. On DK, he's only 5,200. You need 26. I think on DK, I probably would not look for him there. I have some guys that I would consider more so at power forward. But PJ Tucker definitely here on Fanduel, not a bad deal if you want to pay down from Kristaps or fading away from Jason Tatum. I think that he may be someone to consider. Like I said, either Derek Favors as well or Brandon Clark. I like those guys as well. But here, I like the upside. I like the fact that he's playing 30-plus minutes. And at 30-plus minutes, and then at least getting off and shooting well from three, which right now at the moment, he is shooting 54% from the floor, 47% from three. So I like it when he's been efficient, when he's on the floor and he takes some shots. And this being a paced-up game, I do think that he'll be able to get his shots off as well. He can get you an occasional steal and an occasional block. He did have 2 and 2 in the last game against Chicago. He just needs the shots to go down, man, when they go down. If it goes down, he'll get you 15, 16 points a game. He can get you rebounds, get you some assists, and if he can get some of the little peripherals there, he can get us to 30. I think he can get us 30 there. He's already played New Orleans 38 minutes in that second game of the season. He put up 16, 5, 3, 1, and 1. Nice numbers across the board. Put up 30 fantasy points. That's what we're looking for here. Give us 30. Pop in there, hopefully get lucky, get 35, 40 for me. Being a GPP player, will love that 35, 40 more. But he's not. It's a sound cash play, safe play, in my opinion. PJ Tucker. He's going up against New Orleans. New Orleans has allowed 33.7 fantasy points per game to opposing power forwards. They did give a 40 to Taurean Prince, 58 and 62 in two respective separate games against Siakam, 26 against PJ Washington, and 31 to Glenn Robinson III. So I guess in that vicinity of 30 to as much as 40, I think he can definitely do it if you put him in there with the Princes and the Robinsons of the world. And like I said before, New Orleans Pelicans fourth in the league in surrendering three-pointers to opposing teams that shoot from three at 37% clip. So PJ Tucker in play for me here as a value, as a lower price play, mid-tier play. And again, I do like Favors and I do like Clark a whole lot as well. Anybody else here? Maybe Lyles at 4,000 who does get some minutes. Don't see anybody else here that I could say you can get value out of. Yep. Let's go over to center. At center is pretty, a center today, you can go a lot of ways at center. Now, granted, at the top, you got Towns and you got Drummond. They're both going against each other, and that's an excellent matchup. The only thing is that I would favor more Towns than Drummond, but I also look at it as like Towns will probably struggle just a little bit here because Blake Griffin is back, and these two big bodies, Drummond and Blake Griffin, are going to attack the boards as well. So I think it's going to hurt Towns as far as getting the rebounds that he normally gets. I don't see him getting as much rebounds. I do see him as an offensive threat here because if Jeff Teague is out, he's going to get a huge boost and he's going to need to produce. But if Jeff Teague plays, he just really needs to get as many rebounds as he can and be able to get some assists and just be able to hit his threes and hit some shots and get to the foul line and be aggressive. And I think he can do that with Blake Griffin and Andrew Drummond and get those guys in foul trouble. I do like Towns the best in the matchup. I do think that it definitely hurts him with rebounds. So I'm a little torn, not too sure if I should take a lot of Towns or not, but I think he is a good play. At 10,008, you need pretty much 54 to me value. Again, it's just for me, I'm a little hesitant. If I'm going to choose either one of the two, I'll probably go Towns more. Blake Griffin's probably going to play 20 to 25 minutes, I believe, and that obviously is going to pull away from some of the rebounds Drummond would get. Plus, Towns definitely at least does some defense. He does play some defense, so I don't think it's going to be that easy for Drummond to get 20. But again, the games have to be played. You just never know. Some players have off nights. Anything can happen. As far as skill set, as far as statistics, I mean, it definitely will hurt both guys, but I think Towns still, for me, will be someone that I will have more exposure to than Drummond. Clint Capella is probably the best bet here at 9,300, but his price tag is up after that huge game he had in his last outing. I'm not extremely high on him at 9,300, but I mean, if he was under 9, I'll probably be more, interested. I think I'm going to pay down at center. As far as my core for today for center, I think I'm going to lean more on paying down and getting Cantor here, knowing that he is back and knowing that he's a former Knick, and I know what he's capable of doing. Obviously, he is a small sample. He only played one game as a Celtic thus far this year, but he did 24 minutes, 12, 6, and 2, 22 fantasy points. They brought him in here to be their top center. And I don't know how many minutes. That's the only concern of how many minutes Cantor would play. But I am believing that he's going to play 25 or better. This guy, plain and simple, he's a good point per minute guy, can get you some blocks, so he definitely can do that and bring up your fantasy point totals, which is a huge upside and bonus. We know he's capable of getting you 40 in a given night if he plays well. I like him at 5,700. You only need 27, and he is 4,900 on DK. Only need 24. Again, he's averaging 22. It's a small sample in his career thus far with Boston, but he is in a matchup that he should be able to do fine. He's going up against Powell and the Dallas Mavericks. I think that he could definitely do okay here. So that's where I'm at as far as Cantor's concerned. I feel I should pay down here. Again, I have no problem with going with Towns and Drummond or Capella, to be totally honest with you. Even Rudy Gobert at 8,300 going up against Golden State, he should definitely kick some butt there. But again, Gobert's been up and down. He has been trending a little bit up as of late, so he can be an option. But I'd rather pay down here and take my chances with some lineups with Cantor. And just play Cantor, and then just really just look to build around these guys here with some of those other fine plays, like maybe throwing in there, a Harden, throwing in there, especially I think as shooting guard and point guard and shooting guard, those are the best places to actually really find your key players here tonight. Wiggins is a good play. Jaylen Brown could be a special play. Hart could be another nice play at 5,400 who takes more than enough shots and can get hot and streaky. Then, of course, you got Harden. So you got Drew Holiday. There is a number of guys here. And then, of course, you got Doncic and Walker here. Walker needing to step up a bit more here as well. And don't fall asleep on Mike Conley. I like Conley here at 6,800. He should play more than 30 minutes, and he's going up against Golden State, and I think that's an advantage there for him. And Jeff Teague, if he plays, he's another guy. So, again, I mean, that's a number of plays, a lot of ways you can go. It's a nice 6-game slate. Again, guys, man, that's pretty much where I'm at. I wish you guys a lot of luck tonight. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. And don't forget to comment down below if you want to be on the weekly giveaway. Wish you guys a lot of luck tonight. Let's make some money. The grind continues. The grind is real. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.